Anthony Scaramucci, with all due respect, weren't you the press secretary in the Trump administration for like 12 days or something?
11. I was
11. Sorry, yeah, exactly. Comms director, excuse me.
I was on the campaign for 9 months. I raised probably $30 million, gave him $1 million personally. I was on the executive committee for the transition team. And so I worked on the campaign for almost a year.
But why does that pedigree? My question is, why does that pedigree make you such a valued surrogate for the Kamala Harris campaign? Like, with all due respect, like, why do people care?
You should ask them. Well, you're standing here talking to me,
That's
so,
true.
Yeah, so
I'm indicting myself, I guess.
you might be indicting yourself, but I don't know why they care. But let me tell you something. I'm helping her. It's resonating. It's been effective with independents. We're building a very, very broad coalition. Mr. Trump represents something to me that's very anti-American. It doesn't stand for the traditional values of the Republican Party that I grew up in.
Like which values?
Well, you want to name one, okay? Ronald Reagan was pro-immigration. His last speech that he gave was a pro-immigration speech. Mr. Trump is anti-immigration, not just illegal immigration, but immigration overall.
He granted protective status to Venezuelan immigrants, so it's selective.
Read the agenda. Read the 902-page agenda. Read Agenda 47. Read Project 2025. Go through the stuff that he's talking about. He's a divisive guy. He blows racist dog whistles every single day of his life. He splits things. I work for him. I know the MO. He'll say one thing that's very racist and very dog whistly, and then I'll say a second thing to countermand it, so that there'll be enough meat out there for people like the talking heads of Fox News to say, oh, he didn't really mean.
Did you get a chance to say hello to Donald Trump? He was just in the room.
I didn't see him, no. But I'm happy to say hello to him. I have nothing personal against him. I just don't want him to be the president of the United States.
So Kamala Harris tonight touted the endorsement of Dick Cheney. Is he one of these traditional Republicans who people are looking back on retrospectively and valorizing?
I think it's a very important endorsement for Vice President Harris, because this guy's calling her things like Marxist and communist and comrade, and a guy like Dick Cheney is not endorsing her if any of those things were true. And so what we know about Mr. Trump, he's a lie machine. He told 30,450 lies.
So why is Dick Cheney endorsing her? Do they have compatible worldviews?
Well, incompatible enough. Remember, Dick Cheney, like myself, is a first principles person. So what are you looking for?
What's the principle, invading Iraq?
No, you should let me talk of you. You're like a right, what are you, like a right-wing journalist, right? Yeah, hard right? I got that. That's all fine. But let me talk. First principles about the Constitution. First principles is about freedom. First principles about where we are, what our identity is, not only to ourselves as Americans, but what our identity represents to the world. Those are first principles. Mr. Trump's a very destructive guy. He's very denigrating to the country. He goes to these rallies and he denigrates our country. Okay, that's the country of my parents and my grandparents. I don't like it very much, and I want him to stop. And the way he's going to stop is we're going to defeat him.
Do you find it bizarre that skepticism of Dick Cheney is coded as right-wing in 2024? Like, I guess I'm old enough to remember the early 2000s where that would have been a punchline to a joke.
I think the world has changed over the last 25 years. I think that this guy represents a systemic danger to our system. He's got people on his team, and he himself has said this. They want to take the FBI out of the Department of Justice and link it directly, have it report directly to the president. He wants to fire 50,000 employees in the government and then rehire people to take a loyalty test to him. These are things that the average American looks at and say, I don't want that. Okay, and so for me, I don't want my country turning into an autocracy where 5.7 billion other people are living in an autocracy. And Mr. Trump represents that. Mr. Trump denied the election results last time. His worst moments tonight when he was trying to substantiate the great election lie that his friends at Fox News lost $783 million on. So, it's a disaster. You got a guy who has 40 people that work for him, including his vice president, that have told you under no circumstances can we work for, endorse, or vote for him? 40 people. Let me ask this to you rhetorically. Let's say we all worked at a pharmaceutical company and a pill was being made, and we saw the pill being made in the factory. We said, hey, that pill's going to kill your kid. Are you going to take the pill? You have people on his campaign that are telling you how destructive he is and what a threat he is to the Republic and our Constitution.
But if those people include John Bolton, Mark Esper, who was a former top Raytheon lobbyist, others, I mean, if you're a little bit circumspect about the influence of like the military-industrial complex, wouldn't it be a point in his favor that those people have such negative a view of him?
I understand you have a tinfoil hat on your head.
What tinfoil hat is what conspiracy theory did I assert?
Because you're asserting something.
Was Mark Esper not a top Raytheon lobbyist? Trump. It was to his discredit that Trump appointed him defense secretary.
Mark Esper served the country. He was a West.
Yeah, as a Raytheon lobbyist.
No, he didn't. He was in the American Army.
He wasn't a Raytheon lobbyist.
I think
he was the top lobbyist at Raytheon when Trump appointed him.
Lots of different things in his resume, including working for Raytheon.
I still don't follow what conspiracy theory I asserted.
No, you're implying that the 40 people that work for Donald Trump are in the tank of the deep state and the.
I didn't. You said the term deep state, not me.
Ask one more question. Let's go to something else. Sorry.
All right. Here's another. You don't know my MO. You thought I'm a right wing because I expressed skepticism of Dick Cheney. Well, I'm not a Republican. I've been a registered Democrat. So, I mean, final question. And maybe this is too conspiratorial for you, and maybe it shows I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, but did Dick Cheney and George W. Bush uphold the Constitution such that they're now a venerated, favorable contrast with Donald Trump? Explain that to me.
Well, I think it's prima facie. I don't even think that needs to be explained.
Did Bush and Cheney upheld the Constitution?
They certainly did.
Really?
They certainly did.
Fascinating.
And they may have made a mistake going to that war.
How about the Fourth Amendment?
They went to the UN and created that war. What are you implying, the Patriot Act?
Well, no. There was mass warrantless surveillance that was inaugurated under George W. Bush, 2006.
Well, first of all, you have to go to a judge to get the warrants. Second of all, read the...
Yeah, kangaroo court, the FISA court.
Here we go with the tinfoil stuff.
I could cite you endless constitutional scholars who will talk about the kangaroo court of FISA courts.
I disagree with the stuff, but the law got voted in by the Congress. It's called the Patriot Act. You may not like the law, then get yourself elected and go raise a caucus of people and get out of the law. Vote to renege the law. We may not like the law, but the law got put into place, and there is a process to protect people. I want my family safe. You know, I work for the American government. I understand the threats that are out there to the people of the United States, and I want my family safe. And I like Bush and Cheney. That's just me.
All right. Well, I guess,
Fellow Democrat.
Yeah, exactly.